Phineas and Ferb is a very popular TV show, and I mean very popular. Spanning 189 episodes, a bit longer than its supposed 104 days of summer vacation, and at least 2 movies, this show is so well known that you could probably sing the entire theme song from memory. It's all about the energetic Phineas and his silent yet wise brother Ferb building ridiculous contraptions while Candace tries to tattle on them and their platypus fairy does some other stuff. It was endearing, it opened kids' imaginations, and it taught everyone what this thing is. However, let's be honest, there are some dangerous contraptions in this show. They do everything from building a shrinking submarine a la Fantastic Voyage to building an entire time machine. At one point, they even travel across dimensions. These things are extremely dangerous, and as much as I don't want to say it, they could even kill them. So this brings up the question, which episode would be the first episode that could potentially kill them? Maybe it's episode 25, which featured that time machine that I mentioned before. Or maybe it's that new movie that supposedly features mind control appliance. I don't know, I never watched it. So, which episode would be the first to be potentially deadly? The first episode, episode 1. You see, I was recently thinking about the first episode of the show, the one with the roller coaster. Being the first episode, it's a rather prestigious one, even getting several references in later episodes, which includes an entire episode that was just a musical adaptation of that one. When I was a child, I thought the roller coaster looked super cool, and I always wanted to ride it, because let's be honest, when you were a kid, who didn't? And then I managed to get Planet Coaster installed onto my computer. This game taught me that building a super cool roller coaster, it isn't easy. It's actually very difficult. There are so many times when I thought the roller coaster was perfect, only to learn that I had surpassed G-force limits. And so, I decided to take another look at Phineas and Ferb's roller coaster to see if it could potentially be deadly. Turns out the G-forces are the least of their worries. With every single thing that happens on that roller coaster, our inventive kids should have been dead long before that coaster ride ever ended, which is what I am planning on showing you today. So, without further ado, please keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times and make sure you manage to collect your spinal columns on the way out, because looking at this nightmare, you're gonna lose them real quick. Phineas and Ferb's supposed greatest coaster ever starts just like any other coaster, with a chain lift. I think we all know what a chain lift is, so I'm just gonna skip ahead to the crazy part. Alright, stop. I'm just gonna real quick circle all the points that I find problematic here. Alright, that should about do it. As you can see, we have a lot of problems on our hands already. Let's start with the loop. This supposedly innocent loop right here, yeah, that's actually highly dangerous, especially at the speeds that they're going. It might look perfectly fine, but I've played enough Planet Coaster to know that that is at least going to show up as 7 to 8 G-forces. And now, we talk about the other 6 things that are circled here. The equal to, and sometimes greater than, instant right angles on the coaster. There is a good reason that coasters don't usually do this. And that is because that is highly dangerous. Let me explain what I mean in Planet Coaster itself. So here I am in Planet Coaster, and don't worry about this. This is a demonstration that I'll show later. I'm mostly focusing on the red coaster here. This is my demonstration as to why this is a terrible idea and should never be done in any roller coaster ever. So, I go over here and start test, and I'll just speed through this part real quick. I have to be quick on this. Hold on. And pause. They are currently experiencing 54.65 G-forces. I decided to do a quick Google search as to how many G-forces a human being can normally handle, and it says changes in speed are expressed in multiples of gravitational acceleration, or G. Most of us can withstand up to 4 to 6 G. Fighter pilots can manage up to about 9 G for a second or two, but sustained G-forces of even 6 G would be fatal. Yeah, try almost 10 times that amount. So we've already gotten to, I'm pretty sure we're not even a minute or 30 seconds into this roller coaster, and it's already fatal. Anyway, we should probably continue with the episode to see what else this roller coaster has in store for us. The next part is pretty uneventful. They do get hit by rubber snakes, which would probably hurt quite a bit going at that speed, and then they go into a giant bucket of mud, potential drowning hazard. But besides that, not much happens during this section. And then we get to this.
Hey look, there comes the
Now this section right here, no, there is a reason that coasters do not go at much greater than, I'm pretty sure this is 75 degrees. There's a reason that roller coasters don't go at a 75-degree angle like this. And you know what? I'm gonna go back to Planet Coaster and show you exactly why. Okay, here we are back in Planet Coaster. I've modified this part of the roller coaster a little bit so that we have this nightmare of a section. And we are going to see what nightmarish things this will do to our brave inventors. So we have this section, and here we go. Negative 72.04 G-forces. That would immediately break your spine. This is not a normal roller coaster. This is a death trap. Next, Perry does something and causes the roller coaster to fall into the city, falling into it in the process. Broken spine, the platypus is dead. Then we get to this section, and I'm gonna have to pause again real quick. Okay, so this is gonna be 15 G's of force. This will be negative 6 G's of force, and this will be another 15 G's of force. All three of those things are deadly. And yet, the worst of our troubles are yet to come, because then we go off of the track. Now, this crane swing is a topic for another day. It's probably also deadly, but I just want to point out the very next part, where they get hit by a moving plane. If you thought the stunts that their roller coaster was doing was bad, try getting hit by a Boeing 747. Okay, you might notice that my voice sounds a little more soul crushed. That's because I just now did the calculations for this. Okay, so apparently a normal commercial airliner flies at 575 miles per hour. And so I decided to plug that into a G-force calculator, and how do I explain this? It's 262 G-forces. I'm not kidding. I decided to look it up, and apparently the most amount of G-forces anyone has ever survived is 214 G-forces, which was only delivered at a split second. So basically, if there was even the slightest chance of them surviving everything else they've been through, that is completely gone now. Next part I want to talk about is this. When I first saw it, I thought, where have I seen this before? And then I realized, it's basically the euthanasia coaster. You know, the hypothetical coaster that was specifically designed to kill people. It is just constant loops, except that this one, in particular, takes less than a second. So you're adding G-forces to that. I also decided to do this in Planet Coaster, but here's the thing. I couldn't actually get it to be as fast as it was in the actual episode. And yet, it still got over 60 G-forces. And then, as if that was not enough, they go into space. They just take a roller coaster into space. No spacesuits or anything. There are so many different reasons as to why this is a bad thing. The thing is, I feel like I've already overanalyzed enough, and I feel like this video should be limited to 15 minutes, so if you want to learn why it is a bad idea to just bring something into space without any protective gear, go watch this episode of Film Theory that explains the entire thing. But what goes up must come down, and so they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, which would probably vaporize their entire being, but let's not worry about that right now. They end up falling into a tree, which would also kill them. And as one final thing to cap it off, the roller coaster explodes. Well, the roller coaster car explodes. But it's something exploding in a tree. And also something on fire in a tree made out of wood. So, long story short, this roller coaster basically killed them 17 different times. If Film Theory wants to make a video on it, be my guest. But for now, this is the best we got. If there's any lesson you want to take away from this, I guess it's that roller coasters are harder to make than you thought. And also, never go into space with protective gear, because that's always a bad idea.